All right, we're live. All right, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Fans Union for the fans by the fans. Here on a lovely Wednesday night, Thursday morning, probably if you're seeing this, whenever it is, we appreciate you. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and YouTube. I'll have the links in the description below. But as always, got my lovely panel with me. What's going on, fellas?
What's up, brother?
What's going on, gentlemen?
Well, fellas, we got a lot to talk about today. For Logan and I, mainly myself, because Logan, he is self-admittedly kind of a floater, which is okay because Logan's a ball knower, so it doesn't bother me. But we don't have good stuff to talk about. Graham got some heartbreaking stuff to talk about. Trip has some good stuff to talk about, obviously. So with our teams, but we're going to talk a little bit about the fiasco of the Giants and the Giants and Chiefs, kind of how both teams kind of look terrible and who looked even more terrible in that one. The Chargers really finding their stride. The Texans are completely losing it. We're gonna have some prop. We're having a little prop line that we're gonna submit for this week. And we're gonna pick some games. So I guess I'll go ahead and get into it. So on Monday, I believe, yeah, Monday, I listened to a lot of Sirius XM. I called into the good brother Adam Shine on Mad Dog Radio, and
Nice.
him and we talked about the Falcons game, and we kind of came to the agreement. I don't think I've watched a team play that bad of a football game in quite a long time. I mean, in a lot of bad games, there's a few things you can hang your hat on. Hey, this went well. This didn't. Whatever cases. There's nothing that went good in that game. Um, Penix looked awful, and I'm not folding the house on Penix yet. This is dude's basically sixth game playing. I mean, it's part of being a young guy. I'm not worried about that. What I am worried about is the second year of anemic offensive play calling. Um, After last week, that dominant win against the freaking Vikings, who won 14, 15 games last year. We played the Carolina Panthers, and for some reason, Bryce Young can do no wrong. Bryce Young and Baker Mayfield are Peyton Manning against the Falcons. It makes no sense. But yeah, the offense, it just looks so bad. I'm so tired of being in the pistol because I know we were talking about it before we got on. If you guys have seen that breakdown on ESPN with Dan Orlovsky and Marcus Spears on NFL Live, they talk about how Bijan Robinson is basically 8 yards in the backfield when he lines up in the pistol. And for those of you who don't know, pistol is like a hybrid of under center and shotgun. It's You're lined up like you're under center, but you're probably 3 or 4 yards off. So it's a little bit of a hybrid, but just wanted to pull some numbers that I saw here. This is from PFF. It disappeared on me. Okay. So first off, the Falcons did not enter the red zone once. Not once. They got to the 31-yard line, and in Falcons fashion, missed a field goal. So that was lovely. All right. So here's some Falcon splits through 3 weeks per PFF. We've had one pass attempt under center. One pass attempt, 93% pass rate out of shotgun. So we line up in the shotgun. We're throwing the ball pretty much. 70% from the pistol. And we talked about how, the running back's so deep in that. And they were talking about how, like, the backside ends, they don't have to worry about anything because when you're under center, you don't have as much time to get flat down the line. Pistol kind of removes that. Fourth lowest play action rate in the NFL. And if you're going to run the pistol, your play action's kind of got to be your bread and butter. Fourth lowest. And then the lowest deep ball pass rate in the NFL with 4%. So just nothing dynamic about the offense. There's too many weapons to be playing like that on a week basis, especially, we thought I wanted to give Zach Robinson some grace. I knew last year Jimmy Lake, he had to go. He had freaking what's his name? Matthew Judon dropping back 50% of his snaps, a pass rusher for that. So I knew he was done. I wanted to give Zach Robinson some grace, from the McVay coaching tree, but God, there was just so much bad. Obviously, lost 30-0, and with going into Washington or playing Washington this week and in the bye, very, very realistically could go into the bye 1-3, which obviously I don't want to see. But man, there's nothing good to take about that. That's the worst game I've probably ever watched any of my teams play, ever. And that was 5 minutes of absolute crying. So, somebody, please feel free to take the reins.
Logan, you're the next fan up. Let's hear it.
I mean, dude, Joey covered all the bases there. When you said something about not getting in the red zone, I was about to hop in and say they didn't even cross the 30, and then you followed that up by saying they got to the 31 once and missed a field goal in typical Falcon fashion. So I think it's hilarious. We give Koo a chance this year. We let him miss one field goal, immediately cut ties, bring in Parker Romo, kills it. What did he go? 4 for 4 first week, 5 for 5, something like that.
5 for 5.
5 for 5. So great week, obviously. Then you immediately we're going to cut ties with Koo after a week of practice and, run with Romo. And then he misses 2 kicks. And it's just like, okay, there we go. We're right back in the saddle.
Real quick, before you even get into more of that, the funny thing about kickers is they're always like, oh, we need to sign this guy. We need to sign this guy. There's a reason these guys aren't on teams right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, sorry, continue.
Hey, I'll say this, though. Koo's already been signed. So.
Yeah, by the
Giants.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, just practice squad for the time being. But I just want to say one thing quick, not to jump into fantasy football or anything. So this week in my fantasy league, I had the Vikings defense, right? They were playing the Bengals. So I'm like, I know Jake Browning started, but, they got weapons. So I picked up the Falcons because I'm like, they're playing Carolina. Like, they had a great week on defense last week, looked great against the Vikings. So I'm going to pick them up. Well, Falcons got me 5 points, and the Vikings in it with 32. So thank the Lord I won this week, or I would have been pissed. But needless to say, the Falcons have been quickly dropped, and I'm going right back to the Vikings defense, which it was only a 1 week kind of one-off kind of thing. But that's just Falcons fandom in a nutshell. As soon as you get your hopes up after one good game, whether it be kicking woes, defense, you get humbled very quickly. But, I mean, I'm kind of like you, not giving up on Penix, but I think we got to get the ball in Bijan's hands more, Drake London's hands more. We got to really see what these guys can do, I think. But
Drake's been a little bit of a ghost. As much as I love him, he's been a freaking –
the passing game really has been. Like, we talked about it week 1. My biggest problem with week 1, numbers look good, but it was a very much so Cowboys-like offense. It's like if you throw the ball 50 times, I hope you throw for almost 300 yards. You're throwing the ball 50 times. So it's kind of how it felt after week 1. And since then, I mean, we look good against the Vikings, but I don't think offense looked great. I know Vikings defense is good, but, Falcons got to figure something out, and I honestly think they got to figure it out quick. Just my personal opinion.
I'm looking here. Penix ranks 19th in passing yards. Wait. And then the beautiful part is Penix has, he's got 1 passing touchdown this year, and it's that freaking Texas, maybe it wasn't a Texas route, but that 50-yard touchdown that he threw to Bijan, which was a 6-yard throw in a 44-yard run. So no tight ends or receivers. And obviously they cut ties with the receiving coach, which I think is kind of hitting the panic/scapegoat button. But
scapegoat for sure, I think.
It was just so bad. I think the Falcons are gonna, obviously this is hopefully the lowest of the low. I'm not glad anybody's injured. Let me just preface that. But a week going into Washington where we're at home, not playing against Jaden Daniels or playing against Scary Terry bodes well in that. But I mean, it's just something poetic about Dan Quinn and Mariota coming back and winning. That just makes too much sense.
And then the Falcons letting you down one last time.
Yeah, it'll be absolutely brutal. But yeah, that's enough of my tirade. I took up enough time. I'm not sure if you other two fellas watched the game, but feel free to chime in.
Go ahead, Graham.
No, I'm gonna pay respects to that dead body and let y'all soak up the wounds.
Yeah.
I don't got to expand too much about my experience on that as a Jets fan. I will say this though: Falcons are slowly encroaching that TSO territory. That turn that shit off territory. And it's no me being harsh on Penix because like Joey elaborated on earlier, he's just in his 6th game of his NFL career. I do think there's some deficiencies in his mechanics that he's going to have to continue to work on, and obviously match week 4 in the season isn't the best ideal time to be doing that. But beyond that, it's going to be kind of like the same song and dance that you see with so many of these young and talented quarterbacks who clearly aren't going to be top 10. But if you can have a guy who can be between 15 and 25 in this league, that's an extremely valuable asset to have. No team in the league will ever look at you and say, hey, we're looking forward to getting rid of a guy who's 18th best quarterback in the league. Even if he isn't your starter, you find ways to keep that guy on your roster. And obviously, in most scenarios, you are going to end up, that's going to be your guy because there's 30 teams. So the chances of you having two of those is very unlikely, slim to none. But TSO, just simply because the Falcons are in that territory of they find ways to lose. I'm a Jets fan. Again, I can tell you plenty about that firsthand experience. There are certain teams in this league that find ways to lose, whether that be from personnel standpoint or coaches who continue to allow shit to just dissipate week to week to week and don't address it. Good teams address problems, and good teams stack depth. They stack 2 to 3 guys at almost every position if they can, and they really don't give a fuck about draft picks. Part of my language. A lot of these teams who are just hoarding draft picks, and I don't know exactly what the Falcons, draft capital situation is, but
don't have a first round next year.
You said what now?
Don't have a first round next year.
And so at that point, even if you did, you were still going to roll with Penix more than likely. You still, presumably speaking, still have your number one receiver. I don't know what London is, what year he is on his contract, but you still kind of have your number one guy there. You still have Bijan. There's too many pieces on this team to be operating like a team that's acceptable to be going out with a 7-win season. And that's looking like a ceiling at this point.
100%.
7 wins is being generous. Falcons, very much so look like a 5 or 6 win team right now. And the defense is kind of what's scaring me more than the offense because, like Joey and Logan both touched on, way too talented on offense to be worried about you guys, dropping goose eggs multiple times during the year. I'm not worried about that as much as this damn defense pissing their leg on the road.
So I actually saw something. Let me get this pulled up. NFL defense stat, because I'm pretty sure the Falcons are like top 5 in fewest yards allowed.
Hey, why you pull that up, Joey? You were talking about me being a floater. Yesterday popped up on my memories. It was 2 years ago when the Broncos let the Dolphins put up 70 and you officially switched over. So I'm not the only floater. Let's just say that. All right. I'm pulling for the hometown team, but you had a Surtain jersey on in that video. And not because
anymore.
I was saying it wasn't because you just like Surtain. It was because you were a Broncos guy. Let's not forget.
I've admitted that.
Just want to say,
we're both talking about the days. He's talking about the days before the great conversion, man. You getting into lore right now.
I know he's talking about.
we about to have to expand onto a whole nother topic. Trip about to have to start narrating in this motherfucker.
Why don't you go ahead and bring up Abe Lincoln's assassination too? If we're going back that far in time, damn.
All right, let's get back to sports, Joey.
So, well, Graham, obviously not a fantastic end for your Jets. And I'm not going to go too much on it because, again, this is your space. But, they've had – obviously, they're 0-3. But, there's 2 of those losses, exception of the Bills loss, where these guys look like if you wanted to lose away, like if there's a way you want to look when you lose, the Jets have accomplished that. Like there's clearly something there. Aaron Glenn has clearly instilled something. And I think that's definitely there. Obviously lost heartbreaking fashion, but again, I'll let you get into it. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but I mean, before I get into, I guess, some of the schematics of the game, to hit on to the point that you just touched on, as barring the Buffalo loss, but even with that considered, if you look at all 3 teams that the Jets have lost to right now, they're all playoff teams. I see the Steelers comfortably being a wild card team. Obviously, the Bills are going to run away with this division. And the Bucks are 3-0 right now. and so, regardless of kind of how they go back and forth with, their divisional opponents, I don't see the Bucks missing out on the playoffs, no matter what type of a skid they may go on mid-season. Every team deals with injuries, but barring any of the, crazy outliers, I see all 3 of those teams being as very commendable opponents. With that being said, you're 0-3. I do think that Robert Saleh, at this point in his tenure, even, just a few games into his season, I think he had beaten a Broncos team, at least at this point, that went won 9 or 10 games that year, something like that. So I might be nitpicking, but three decent teams. As far as what the Jets were able to do on the offensive side of the ball, really didn't get blown out of the stadium. It wasn't an offensive letdown game by any means, especially considering that we had Tyrod Taylor coming in as a backup. I think they tied the Buccaneers with first downs. They beat us with time of possession by about 4 minutes. But again, nothing too crazy there. The Jets stuck around. Obviously, if you watch that game, all 12 people on earth who watched that shit who weren't at the stadium, you know that the game got kind of crazy at the end. But I will say, as somebody who watched, all but maybe one quarter, the Jets never looked like they were going to win that ball game. Even when we took that, block kick back at the end, I knew it right away when I looked at the clock. I said, that's enough time for them to get this field goal. And sure enough, that's what they did. The Jets so far, I would say that the defense is honestly what's kind of sticking out to me as the team's biggest deficiency. I'm going to slow myself down because I know I've kind of been rambling, but there were a couple bright spots. Guys like Malachi Moore, the rookie out of Alabama, was able to get his first start, and I'm really happy with that because the acquisitions we made at safety this offseason really haven't paid out. We kind of scraped bottom of the barrel guys who were getting cut. So kind of what you guys were saying about kickers earlier, when you're picking up guys that are getting cut and you're not shuffling the deck and moving some pieces around to go get guys that are actually getting minutes for a team, I don't see anyone making marginal improvements in any area when you're doing that. You either got to draft right or make moves. And we really didn't do that in our secondary. And that's really starting to show at this point in the season. Teams know they can attack us on the back end, and they continue to do that. And all we can hope is that Aaron Glenn, being a defensive back by nature, is going to coach these guys up. I really just want him to focus on the young guys, coach these young guys up, put them in as many positions to where they can learn situational football, and allow these old guys who we paid this unnecessary money to figure out exactly, how it is that they can at least come in on packages and make an impact. These guys soaking up 60, 70% of the snaps from these young guys, no more of that. We know at this point there's no shot that this team's making the playoffs, so we need to focus on young, developing talent, young guys who we can, hopefully turn into starters in 1 or 2 seasons. I'll kind of probably just leave it at that because you guys know we lost kind of in a heartbreaking fashion, but I elaborated on how if you watch the game, kind of my insider point of view, I think there was about like 47 seconds left or something like that. I knew it was enough for them to get that field goal, and sure enough, they did it. So I'll let y'all, share y'all 2 cents if anybody cares to.
I think you executed that beautifully.
I will say this. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but Graham, you can maybe elaborate a little more on this if you want. Aaron Glenn does have the Jets looking and reminding me of when Dan Campbell first took over the Lions. It's a different feeling around their games. They're competitive. I get it. A loss is a loss, but we all know when Dan Campbell first took over in Detroit, they were losing still, but this man was in tears because they're losing heartbreaker after heartbreaker after heartbreaker. And it kind of feels like Aaron Glenn on the sidelines has that same energy around him, like hyping these guys up, getting them built to – he really might build something over there. It feels like – I know it's still very early, but, like, I can see it there on the sidelines. Like, there's competitiveness about him where it's like, wow, like, what if in a few years we're looking back, like, Aaron Glenn just made them, a big-time team. So I do see the change happening. And I also want to touch on Tyrod Taylor. That might be the most unlucky quarterback we've ever seen in the NFL. Every time he truly gets a chance, some bullshit happens to him that puts him back on the sideline. Like, I'm just looking up his stats. I mean, he's been in the league 15 years. That's a long time. But this man has 12,507 yards, 71 tuds, and 30 interceptions. Like, I know he's been pretty much a backup his whole career, but those are solid. 71 tuds and 30 interceptions is pretty solid for a backup guy, Like, that's why you go out and get a guy like him for these kind of games, stays competitive, and keeps them in a game when, the Jets couldn't stay in a game with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback last year. So, I mean, I do think it's impressive what he was able to do. I think the Jets look good. I think Aaron Glenn has them on the ascending trajectory, but also love to see Baker get his get back. One of the guys I forget who it was exactly. One of the guys on the Jets staff is one of the guys that cut him in Carolina. And I think there was another like Browns tie in there. So, Baker's going to use that as clipboard, bulletin board material, however you want to say it. But overall, I think the Jets on the way up for sure.
Yeah, Logan, to your point, I mean, you made a couple of good points, bro. But To the point that you made about Aaron Glenn and some of the intensity that he's bringing around the team. Whereas even in a loss, you can still see some identity changes, which is what you're looking for in a first-year head coach. Shout out to my Dogs fans, man. Arian Smith is like our wide receiver 3 right now. And he actually played a pretty decent game. He's had a pretty, I'll give him like a B- season so far. And he was having a decent game on Sunday, but he had a little bit of a blip. I think he lined up in the neutral zone or something, something like that, and it was kind of like a timely penalty. And Arian Smith was getting chewed out just like Kirby would have chewed him out. I mean, Aaron Glenn was head set off, absolutely losing his shit on Arian, and I'm like, man, that's what we need. We need somebody who's going to come out here and coach guys up. Robert Saleh was more of a hands in the pockets, not on no Darvin Ham tip, but kind of just hands in the pockets, very passive, letting guys kind of just grow into their personality is the way he would describe it. You got to let guys grow into their personality. And whereas Aaron Glenn sees it as this is a football game. We come out here each Sunday to win a football game. We come out each day in practice to win football games. If you're coming out here to do anything that doesn't align with winning a football game, you're gonna see me about it. And it's as simple as that. So you hit on that, and I wanted to piggyback off that as well, because I will say that that's something that I see as well, Logan. I see that. I'm ready to hear about these. I'm ready to hear about these Lions, though, man, because the Lions was the silver lining for the whole group this week. Everybody else was down. So
Trip's been awfully quiet. I'm sorry we kept him out so long, but Trip, go ahead.
Yeah.
Nah, man, this is gonna be me, and who knows when I'm gonna be wanting to get some stuff off my chest. So my condolences to y'all's team this week, but I had a hell of a week. So first and foremost, when the broadcast started, kickoff's about to start, the whole panel takes the Ravens, and I'm over there just rubbing my hands. I'm like, come on, I love this. I love nothing more than people who don't believe. And then right after that, they show a stat on the board that says Jared Goff is 11-1 in his last 12 primetime games. And so I was like, okay, this is what I like to see. So now 12-1 in his last 13 primetime games, which was awesome to see. A couple key pointers from this game. I mean, I know at the beginning of the season when, I was talking about what my concerns were going into the season, a lot of that came from the coordinators. And Morton and Shepard have blown me away. Week 1 scared me really bad. I was like, if this is what we're going to see out of this offense, I'm really scared. But seemed like turned things around really quickly week 2 and even more week 3. A lot of pressure on Lamar, 7 sacks on the day. 1.5 of those coming from Aiden Hutchinson. I'm glad he's finally, stepping up to what he's supposed to be. 224 yards on the ground. Talk about a two-headed monster. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs at it again. I mean, Jared Goff barely threw for 200 yards, and he didn't have to because we were just torching them on the ground. Another thing that stood out to me, too, is the Ravens have now allowed more points to teams than any other team in the NFL. I think it was 197 points total they've allowed this year. So clearly Lamar's having to do everything possible to try to win these games. But yeah, I got nothing but good things to say about this game. This is probably one of the better primetime games we've had this year so far, if not the best. Other than that, just looking forward to how the coming weeks come. I mean, that's a huge opponent to knock off like that, but I think the Ravens are going to continue to improve. I still think they're a playoff team no matter what, but I was really impressed with the coordinators this week. So hopefully that continues.
You know what you were saying about the Ravens and the defense? It's so funny to me because, like, I made a comment to somebody. I was like, it feels like watching Lamar is like watching 03, 04 Peyton Manning. Like, I've got to hang 40 for us to compete. And I know I said a few weeks ago they have too much talent, and Graham countered that. And I get it looks like you're right. But to me, the biggest thing that worried me about Detroit was them finding their identity, because that first game they just didn't look like they have one. Like you said, they did what good coordinators are supposed to do. You build around the players that you have, which Zach Robinson has not done. When you've got a good head coach in the building, thing just falls right in line. So, there looks like some uncertainty. The Packers had a horrible loss this weekend to Washington. So, who knows? Detroit could sneak right back up in that, be the driver's seat for the North. So that's what I foresee.
Hey, Trip, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Hutch cause the fumble on Henry? That kind of turned the game. Yeah, I mean, like, it was a battle up until that point. That kind of really took it in y'all's favor. So, 1.5 for Hutch, but also the forced fumble, I think, was the biggest turning point of that game.
100%.
What's going on with that? God, Henry, dude.
Yeah, a lot of time to turn over. It's great.
Yeah, I think when you watch the Ravens this year on both sides of the ball, a lot of players are in their own head. A lot of guys are in their own head, man. And I do think when you have as many talented guys as the Ravens do, it's so essential to have a coach who's almost better at managing talent than the X and O's side of the game.
100%.
I don't have a coach right off the top of my hand who fits that bill. I wanted to say Pete Carroll, but I might be wrong. Because Pete Carroll's a student of the game and an OG. He's been around the game for a real long time. So I think I'll probably be remiss for saying he's not an expert with the X's and O's. But the Ravens definitely probably need to consider changing coaching. I don't know exactly how deep that needs to run as far as how many coordinators need to get swapped out, or if you truly want to change things all the way at the top from like a philosophical standpoint. But this team needs something. And they've dealt with heartbreaking losses. They haven't just dealt with normal losses or, underperforming regularly and, losing in the wild card games, shit like that. They've been losing some real heartbreaking games that can really deal with the, mindset and the DNA of a team. So either they're going to have to truly take a look at themselves this week and take a turn, or I think this is going to keep snowballing. But that secondary stink, it got that real stank on it. And I told y'all that earlier this year, Marlon Humphrey is the #1 suspect fraudulent DB on that defense, man. I'm going to tell you right now, bro, Marlon Humphrey looked like Bambi on skates 70% of the game. And I told you, I've been on my watch all year. You know who else been on my watch? Drake London. Drake London been on my watch for 2 years. Joey know that. I'm not going to give it to him too crazy today. Pause, but he definitely need to tighten up because I've been telling you, Drake London, he is not wide receiver 1 material. He's high end wide receiver 2 material. But I digress. We're not talking about the Falcons right now, so we'll leave our stank ass teams out of this till next week.
All right.
I got 2 more things I want to add. Not only have the Ravens given up the most points in the NFL, they've also scored the most points in the NFL, and they're 1-2. And then the other thing I wanted to make sure to put out here, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I love you. I'm a huge fan, but please leave that celebration that you had at home. Whatever that was that he had on that first down, that is not it, bro. And I'm just saying that as a man, that is the craziest celebration I've ever seen in my life. So I had to make sure to get that out.
Some California boys. That's how they get down.
As Dogs fans, I got to ask y'all this, and it's only because on this show, we stand on character development, and a part of that is being accountable. You got to be accountable with shit. Did y'all see how bad Roquan Smith was getting blown off the block? Pause by Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell was having his way with Roquan the entire game, bro. I mean, that might have been Roquan's retirement tape right there. It was looking bad, bro. Our
offensive line looked crazy on Monday night. I mean,
Tate was having a game too.
I was about to say, I was watching the game with Jace, and right before the game started, I said, if we win this game, I'm buying a Jahmyr Gibbs jersey. And then I was like, we're playing Alabama this week. I'm not buying a Jahmyr Gibbs jersey no matter what happens. But then I was like, I could get a Tate Ratledge jersey though. I could get a Tate Ratledge.
That's 69, baby. That's a bad dude right there. That
is.
That's a bad dude. But it's, you speak to that, Graham, and it reflects the rushing numbers when you've got your left tackle blowing up the best, probably the best interior linebacker in the league before he can get off the ball. I mean, when you rush over 200 yards, it's when you're consistently doing that. That's how that's going to happen.
Joey, it was bad, man. I mean, when you watch some of the tape, especially when you watch like some of those all 22 angles that you don't get until like Monday, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you can see he's 12 yards off the ball, making no pursuit. I mean, it was past the point of like, this looks bad and you're a step behind. It's like you didn't even have the intention of making the play. Penei Sewell was having his way, man. That defense is very, very concerning right now.
Yeah. And like Tripp said, they're kind of Brett Favre in it right now, where you've got as many touchdowns as you have interceptions. And you allow the most points and score the most points. I mean, I would probably, if I had to pick one, take scoring, because I think you're going to face a lot more teams that you can outscore. But Detroit's not one of those teams. And
I was going to say, would y'all say that that's their one silver lining? Like if the defense can at least even get 20% better and we just keep scoring that many points, I mean, I guess we're going to win at least 8-9 more games.
Well, we all watched that Buffalo game, the first game of the year. We all said at least at one point before that, it started to fall down. I was like, nobody's beating Baltimore. This is the best team in the league.
They
But
remind me of a Big 12 team. I mean,
yes, 100%.
you have a defense. I mean, but they should be better than a Big 12 team because they have so many players on that back end that should be stopping just about anybody. But I don't know what it is. And maybe Graham, you're right. Maybe they do need to switch some things up from a coordinator perspective or whatever, the case may be. But it's just like Joey said, they have to score 40 plus, and sometimes that's still not even going to be enough. So
I mean, has the well run dry with Harbaugh? I don't know what he philosophically, again, I know I keep using that big fancy ass word, but it's not me trying to be a smart ass. I'm genuinely trying to ask you guys, like, each week, what Dan Campbell is identifying with as far as like how he wants to move forward with his team. Even if your assignment gets blown, hit somebody's ass in the mouth. That's how we got to play every week because that's our identity. That's the sword that we're going to die on. And that's what prevents us from losing games that we shouldn't. It maybe doesn't necessarily win you games that you shouldn't, but it certainly keeps you from losing games that you shouldn't. You fall back on what you train on the most. And bad teams like the Jets and the Falcons, each week you even notice when we somehow manage to win, it's not because of the same reason we looked good the week before. There's no consistency. There's no patterns. And that's what's concerning me about the Ravens right now. I don't see enough consistency on either side of the ball. Even with them scoring, they can't establish a run game the way that they, normally do. But this certainly ain't a damn Ravens podcast. I know we got to move past this at some point.
Well, I mean, they're one of the premier teams, and they look brutal. So, Trip, or no, I'm sorry, not Trip. Logan, you got anything you want to add before we get on to one of the few games we're going to talk about this week?
We're good, brother.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about a dumpster fest. Trip, I know we talked about, we both watched it. I know I was saying the Falcons play one of the worst games I've ever seen, blah, blah, blah. I don't think I've ever seen as inept of a quarterback performance as I watched Russell Wilson play Sunday night against the Chiefs. Just some numbers right here for it. He went, and let's see, he went 18 of 32, 160 yards, 2 picks, no tuds. And my stupid self took him throwing for 1 touchdown, which I'm the idiot for that. But my God, I thought we could, they were in the red zone multiple times too. They were in the red zone a ton, and he's sailing it out of the back of the end zone.
No, he was trying to send neighbors to Mount Sinai, bro.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
Yeah,
he threw a couple of RX. He threw a couple of them RX balls up in the air, man. I ain't know what was going on with Russell, bro.
No, he was so bad. But Trip, I know you said you watched pretty much every snap.
Yeah, and that's because I had cash on the game, and I wish I wouldn't have. That's the only reason I watched it. But I also had a bet on Russell Wilson, and it was his passing yards. All I needed him for was 200, and he had plenty of opportunities to get there, but he didn't. But besides the fact, I know I said that, Lions-Ravens was probably the best primetime game I've seen this year so far, if not in a long time. This was probably the worst primetime game I've ever seen in my life. I know Joey mentioned that, that Falcons game was one of the toughest games he's ever watched as a fan. This was just a horrible football game from both sides, not even just Russell Wilson. As far as Russ goes, when I'm watching Russ play, I really sit there and think like, okay, this has to be coaching because you have 2 good quarterbacks. I don't want to say good for Jackson Dart yet because we haven't really seen him yet, but Jameis Winston is not a bad quarterback. And I know when, you're a head coach, you got to believe in your guy. And I'm not saying rip him right out of the game when they start playing bad. But there was probably about 10 times during that game where I'm like, where's Jameis? Like, why not? They can't do anything. I mean, it was just every pass that Russ threw was check down after check down after check down. And if it wasn't for Cam Scatterbo getting 15 yards after contact, they wouldn't have gotten half the first downs they got either. So that was my biggest takeaway. Cam looked phenomenal. I think he's going to be a dog for a long time. I just hope that he stays healthy. But Russ, man, I think it's about that time. And I like
bad. My question is, how bad is Jameis Winston?
I mean, he's got to be horrible.
How bad is he if they're like, no, we can't turn away from this guy?
Yeah, and that's my biggest thing. And also on top of that, I know it got announced, what was it, yesterday or this morning, that Jackson Dart's going to be the starter moving forward. I I'm a big believer, and you got to let your guys develop. But at this point, it looks like they're not going to do much of anything anyway. So why not try it out? I think Jackson Dart has a really high ceiling. I said multiple times before the draft last year, I thought he was probably the most talented quarterback aside from Cam Ward in this draft. So I think he's going to do really well. Now, what he can do with this team is the biggest question. I think him and Malik Neighbors are going to be great, but what can the guys around them do to help support? So that's what I'm most curious to see.
Logan, I know you've been talking about getting a Dart jersey ever since the idea was tossed that he might play. How do you feel about your boy taking the reins for the New York Football Giants?
I love the opportunity. I don't know why my camera's not focusing. I love the opportunity, obviously, but my biggest downside is like I'm not really as worried about like the weapons that they have because I think the Giants have some decent receivers. I think they have, Scatterbo's good, Tyrone Tracy's good. So like I believe in their weapons. I just don't believe in their offensive line. I would hate for Jackson Dart to go out there and just get killed. Eli Manning did it his whole career. The 3 times he had good offensive lines, 2 of those times he wins the Super Bowl. And they weren't even great offensive lines. They were just better than mediocre, So my biggest worry is worrying that Dart goes out there and just gets killed. I don't want to see that happening. I think they have some decent weapons between Darius Slayton. You got Neighbors. You got Wan'Dale Robinson. I mean, like you got a couple guys that can catch the football. You got a couple good running backs. Scatterbo, I think, looked good in this game. I mean, they had 10 carries for like 60 yards, a touchdown. As Tripp saying, he's constantly breaking tackles, trying to get right. So I just want to touch on Russell Wilson. I'm looking at his stats. He's 6th in the NFL in passing yards. So that kind of jumps off the page at you, right? Well, week 1, he threw for 168. Week 2, he threw for 450 yards against a terrible Cowboys team. And then week 3, he threw for 160. So those are very inflated stats. But it's like, how often do you see a quarterback 6th in the NFL in passing yards get benched for a rookie, And then to touch on Winston, I'm kind of with Tripp. Like, it's kind of crazy that, like, I know that, you draft Dart. He's first round. He had a lot of hype around him in the preseason. Like, obviously that's your guy moving forward. But I'm kind of with Tripp. Like, is Winston – there's no way Winston looks that bad. We've seen Winston play football. He's not that bad. And I'm honestly surprised none of these teams with injured quarterbacks haven't, like, tried to make it. I feel like you could get Winston for, like, a 7th-round pick, So, like, someone like the Browns, why not bring him in for – or not the Browns, I'm sorry, the Bengals. Why not bring him in for – even if it's for the few weeks while Burrow's out, at least to give Browning, like, a little bit of competition because, I mean, those are some weapons out there for Winston to be thrown to if he were to go to somewhere like Cincinnati. So, I'm surprised Winston is still a Giant after all these quick quarterback injuries because, like I said, it seems like you could get him for literally little of nothing. So, kind of surprised no one's taking a flyer on Winston. And the Giants being one of those teams to not take a flyer.
What kills me, Logan, you were talking about it, is I think one of the biggest problems in the NFL, you've seen it with Baker Mayfield, Bryce Young, you've seen it with so many young quarterbacks. They get thrown into the fire way too quickly. Their confidence gets destroyed, and it really stunts their development. Justin Fields, another example. And I really don't want that to happen to Dart. And New York is the place for that to happen. Just being around nothing but inadequacy, whether it be at the coaching level, front office, on the field. And I really – should he get the chance to start? Absolutely. But I really hate the fact that they're throwing him into the fire like this because they're throwing him to go in there and get beat up, basically, for lack of a better term.
Because a lot of people are like, him sitting behind Russell Wilson is not going to develop him. Look how bad Wilson looks, which I get that. But also just sitting there and watching football from the sidelines, you can get better from. Like, it doesn't have to be
100%.
watching a quarterback. He could be watching a good quarterback
100%.
because they're playing Mahomes. Mahomes didn't look great either, but because off their who they're playing. But there's a video I saw circulating online where he has the helmet on, listening to the play calls that Wilson's getting in the huddle, and you can see him like reading them out like he's practicing it. So like seeing shit like that is like, as an Ole Miss fan, obviously I'm gonna be more of a homer about it because I want to see an Ole Miss quarterback starting in the NFL. But it's like seeing stuff like that. It's like Dart just kind of has that aura like he could do it, but you don't know how New York is, dude. If he's got a rough slate. First off, he's got some tough games coming up very quickly. So it's like things could go downhill and look pretty rough pretty quick, and New York's going to get loud just as quick around them. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I hope Dart comes out and throws 300 on the Chargers' head next week, but it doesn't seem very likely.
Graham, what you got?
No, I mean, what I would say is like Dart getting caught up to that QB1 position. It's one of the tall tale signs of a bad team doing bad things. I agree with Joey's sentiments completely. I do think that whenever you have a young guy who, granted, you drafted him in a very high position, but I do think that if this quarterback class that Dart was in didn't lack as much talent, especially top end talent, now that we know of as it does, he wouldn't have gotten drafted as high as he did. I do think that Dart has the potential to be a solid starter in the league, but I don't think it's in year one or even year two. I think Dart was a guy who should have been given that opportunity to sit and probably get in the middle of like year two. Like if they were going to bench their quarterback next season, whether it be Jameis or Russell because he stays in for a second year on that player option, and they choose to bench him, then Dart comes in a year and a half under the offense, a year and a half in the system, being able to learn things and be more comfortable in the offense. New York is not a media that's friendly on anybody, especially once you get put into that starting 11. Once you're in that starting 11, you're a guy that's going to work and getting paid this insane amount of money to put on this jersey and represent a team that's supposed to be getting better. That's the promise that each New York team has for every fan when they don't win a championship each year. We're going to do everything that we can to get to that position. And I think Dart, as much as he, has plenty of SEC football experience, playing in New York is something that he never had to do, whether it be growing up in California or playing in the SEC. Playing in a media market that's as intense as New York is something that nobody is going to be experienced with unless you grew up there or you've dealt with it. And it is something that he's going to have to learn within his rookie season now at this point because, here it is. We're in week 4 or week 5, and he, is getting called up for the start. So I don't personally agree with it, but I think that it's more so tied in with the regime that's out the door. We know that Dable is out of the door. We know that this coordinator is going to be out of the door next season. They chose to use the draft, collateral on Dart to draft him. So they know that this is, the hill that they're going to have to die on. They're going to have to go out swinging on all the guns that they invested in. So why not use the artillery? Is the way that I believe they see it. So hopefully, if Dart does make a turnaround and at least is able to get this team to maybe like 6 or 7 wins, Dable can say, why not bring me back if I'm the reason why? I'm like kind of like this guy's quarterback whisperer. But either way.
No, I agree with that. I think
that's a good timetable. Sorry, Logan, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I agree that that's a fair timetable. Maybe not even year 1 or 2. I think it's a very fair timetable for quarterbacks.
I think it's early for sure, but I think if Dart goes off, honestly, I'm like you're saying, Dayball has a reason. If they win 7 games in New York, I think they're super happy this year. 6 or 7 wins is that's a win for them this season, and I think Joe Shane has the same thing as Dayball. His job's on the line too. But he can sit back and say, "Hey, I drafted Dart. I just drafted Scatterbo. I drafted Tyrone Tracy, who's looked good. I just drafted Malik Neighbors." Let's be honest, the Giants' last few years, it's still early in all of their careers, but it looks like they've gotten talent. I think the biggest thing around New York right now is Daniel Jones looks like a top 5 quarterback in the league, and that is making them boys nervous. First you get rid of Saquon and he wins the Super Bowl and rushes for 2,000 yards, and then the very next season you got Daniel Jones going to Indianapolis and looking like a Pro Bowl quarterback. I think that alone is putting the Giants in a situation where it's like we got to do something. So I think this is a little sporadic.
Logan, I wanted to run this by you real quick, bro. Especially with you bringing up Joe Shane and the guys that he drafted. I'm gonna run down a list of players for you, and then I'm gonna ask you to guess, what all these guys have in common. Quinnen Williams, Quincy Williams, Jermaine Johnson, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. I don't know if I said Jermaine Johnson already, but him, Michael Carter II. All of these guys, man. You know what all these guys have in common? They were all the last regime's draft picks. Yeah. That's a hell of a draft haul, in my opinion. Within a 5-year window, compile that type of a talent through the draft on a team that, was devoid of talent. I think they did a hell of a job with acquiring talent. But what they did with their veteran assets, as far as bringing in guys like man, who was OG? He played out at Alabama, C.J. Mosley.
Yep.
I respect C.J. Mosley, man. Against what C.J. Mosley brings to the game, or what he brought to the game of football. But Buddy was washed by the time we signed him, and he dealt with a foot injury the entire time he was on our roster. So we were never able to maximize the money that we gave him in that veteran slot. And you'll see the same exact thing with teams like the Giants. That's what bad front offices do. So I hate it for Dart because I definitely don't have nothing against him. He didn't play at Bama. And of course, I'm joking because I actually I like Bryce. I really hope that he does well. All things aside. So I hate it for him, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, we'll go ahead and get into the next game. I did want to just cap that off with the Chiefs also looked pretty anemic offensively. They just happened to be playing the Giants, and also are 1-2. So we'll have to see how that develops. But next, we're going to talk about another one of the thrilling games that ended like how look at the Jets game was going to end with a 2 block field goals in the fourth quarter. Was the masterful comeback from the Eagles against the Rams, the rematch of the NFC Championship. A lot of people had the Rams to be a Super Bowl contender, definitely win the West. Pretty bad loss for them, given the lead that they blew up. But my God, dude, the Eagles are turning into the Chiefs, where they just know how to win. Man, they will find, no matter what it is, they've got a unique blend of young talent and veteran talent, to where they've got the skill to figure it out and they've got the savvy to figure it out. It's incredible. If they're on the field, they're in the game, no matter what the score is. And obviously we have 2, like I said, field goal blocks in the last 6 minutes of the game, both by former Georgia Bulldogs, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, who also had a knack for doing that in college. Jalen Carter blocked one in the national championship in 22, and then Jordan Davis blocked one against Kentucky. So Georgia's always had a knack for doing that, but seeing it in the league, I was watching it with my friend who's an Eagles fan, and I was like, no way they blocked this, right? He's like, oh, bro, shut up. And then next thing you know, Jordan Davis running 20 miles an hour into the end zone. But God, what a freaking game. What a freaking team.
I think one of the biggest things about this game was obviously, crazy comeback. Rams held them to 32 yards of offense in the first half, which is just crazy to do for any team. I don't care who you're playing, but to do that for the Eagles with the weapons that they have is impressive. And I remember watching this game and thinking, if there's anybody that's going to lead them down the field to win it, it's Matthew Stafford. And I don't know if you guys know this. I'm sure you do. But Matthew Stafford is 5th all-time in game-winning drives in the NFL history. So not really a lot of better guys to do that. So I was like, surely he's going to take them down. And he did. And I was like, that's it. That's how they do it. I knew they were still going to find a way to win. And then they still blocked it. And you guys know I'm a big stat guy. So I wanted to share something with you guys.
We know.
Stat that.
So I saw this earlier and I thought this is crazy. So the core of Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith are 18-0 when they play together, including the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Jeez.
That is absolutely insane. So, and that's when they're in full games and they've played together. So, I mean, you just can't count these guys out of a game with the talent that they have. I'm going to give the Eagles their flowers. I think that obviously they did what it took to win. I just thought for sure, this was a game where I did turn it off until the end when it started getting, crazy. At halftime, I was like, I'm not watching this. I'm going to change it to something else, and then end up coming back to it. But yeah, what an insane game.
Trip, your stats are starting to get so good that we about to have to start a Patreon, man. We're gonna have to set up some type of subscription wall or something for these stats, man. These not regular stats, bro.
I'm gonna find them every time.
That portal stat is for real gonna go down as a top 10 banger on this show, man. I'm right
Yeah,
now.
that was quite a banger right there. Tune into yesterday's episode 4, if y'all didn't see that. But yeah, no, that's again, if that stat doesn't prove it, I don't know what does. These guys know how to freaking win, and they're gonna keep doing that as long as Howie Roseman's there, as long as Sirianni's there, and as long as Jalen Hurts is there. I know Jalen Hurts gets a lot of flack in the media, especially over the summer, which is a convenient time to do it when nobody's playing. But that dude, it's as somebody who is a Alabama hater, it's so hard to root against that guy, man. It is so hard. He's at least a very likable guy. Just makes every winning play that he can. Doesn't care about stats, and as long as that nucleus is there, and they keep getting these Georgia guys on defense, I don't mean that literally, but clearly they're hitting on draft picks. They're not going anywhere. If I'm an NFC East fan, I'm really depressed because they're not going nowhere.
Yeah, Eagles look way too good.
You stack up the talent, and you worry about all the issues later. I'm sure there'll be some point down the line where the NFL will produce some BS, infraction that the Eagles can by, acquiring so many draft picks during this summer or whatever. And what are they going to do? They're gonna penalize them 2 6-rounders. What sleep are the Eagles losing over that, knowing that they've hauled in enough talented draft classes over the last 4 seasons that you could pretty much, scramble your hands and just pick a number. And within those years, the Eagles are going to be back in the Super Bowl. We know that, whether it's this year, next year, or the following, it will not exceed that duration of time when the Eagles are back, in the big dance. It'll be hard for you to pick against them. The way they whooped up on the Chiefs last year in that Super Bowl, that was a statement. I think that was something that sent a ripple effect throughout the league, that not only is it going to be hard to catch us on an off Sunday, you're gonna hate playing us. You're gonna hate this game on your schedule. Whereas there's teams that find ways to win religiously, but I don't think teams hate playing them. I don't think teams hate playing the Bucks, but the Bucks find a lot of ways to win the game. They're one of those teams that are crap. They always find ways to win, but people don't hate seeing that game on the schedule. Whereas with the Eagles, just way too deep, man. They can rotate like a damn college team almost at this point.
Yeah. So, Logan, before we get to our next topic, you want to throw anything on that?
Yeah, just to go off what you said, it was 2 dogs that blocked the field goals. What were the probability on it being 2 dogs? It was like 92%, considering their defense is all dogs. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you basically got the Georgia Bulldogs out there on defense, which, hey,
and
right,
you see in the play, Keely Ringo is running behind Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
Like another dog. Like there's so many of them.
Filled with dogs, and that's the reason why they're so good on defense. But I was singing the Eagles praises when we did our first episode. The Eagles, screw Philly, the city, but man, there's some pieces on this Eagles team that's just hard to root against. And kind of like Triple Someone, Saquon, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, me being a homer. It's like I just can't root against any of those guys, and it just sucks that they're on the Eagles. But at the same time, I also love to see it because poor Nick Sirianni takes him to a Super Bowl, and everyone the next year screaming fire him. Then last year, I don't remember what their regular season record was off the top of my head, but it's like they didn't lose a lot of games. Nick Sirianni's on the hot seat according to the Philly fans, and then he goes and wins a Super Bowl. And it's just like Nick Sirianni hasn't had the most fair shake from the Eagle fan base, but he's got a Super Bowl in his belt now, so
very true.
Not much they can talk about at this point. And I'm kind of with Graham, close your eyes and point in a year, in the next 5 years, the Eagles are probably going to be in a Super Bowl within then. They're literally built to go to the Super Bowl for, many, many years to come. So it's impressive to see. And I think Trip needs a little Trip the Stat segment coming on the next week. Go ahead and get the graphic ready because it's in his bag.
That's our guy. That's our guy right there. Well, yeah, so they don't look like they're going anywhere. We'll see the rest of the season. I don't think there's going to be anything wrong with the Rams, but, only time will tell. So real quick, we're going to get into some teams that, at least me, I think I can speak for us, we're surprised are rolling the way they are. And then another one who we are surprised that it is a dumpster fire, at least when you watch it and look at the record. The one who's rolling, the freaking Chargers. 3-0. I don't think any of us picked them to win the West. I think Logan and I picked I think
I
Graham and
picked
I
Chiefs.
picked the Broncos. Logan and Trip picked the Chiefs, if I remember correctly. Um, and Chiefs looking like the worst bet somehow. But I'm looking at some numbers right now. Just in total offense, the Chargers are 1, 2, 3, 4. They're sixth in the league, and in yards allowed. So on defense, they're number 7. That's a recipe for success. Um, wow, check, not to make it about them, but the Falcons allowed the second least amount of yards in the league. It's insane. But they look like there's some freedom around Herbert now to not be coached by Brandon Staley. Just to be quite honest, um, and he looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I know Graham for years has been huge on Justin Herbert, and there's been the jokes, oh, Justin Herbert is the best quarterback ever in hypothetical situations. But I mean, Quentin Johnston's really turned it on this year. And these guys look like they're going to win the West at this point. But I'm super impressed with them. I don't know about y'all, but that's just kind of what I'm going to lead into it with.
Yeah, 100%. I think Chargers look great. I did pick the Chiefs, but I do want to say I said I wouldn't be too surprised if the Chargers are really good. With that being said, obviously that's just throwing a shot out there. But I mean, once again, I'm not surprised that they're good. I think Herbert's look great. I think the good thing about Harbaugh is usually his quarterbacks don't have a lot of turnovers, and then you match that with Herbert, who doesn't make a lot of turnovers. And anytime you're not turning the ball over, you're immediately improving your chance to win. And then just to go off of what you're talking about there, receivers, Quentin Johnson looks great, yes, but Keenan Allen looks like he didn't skip a beat. Like it looks like he never
Yeah.
left. Like it's insane how good he looks to me. And I just week after week, I'm just kind of like, all right, this is going to be the week where he comes back to earth and starts showing his age a little bit. I mean, like I know he didn't have a terrible season in Chicago, but the age was kind of there a little bit. 700 yards is still nothing to scoff at, but he didn't have the best season. Didn't look like prime Keenan Allen, but this year so far, it's like holy, like prime Keenan Allen is still in effect. It feels like. So I mean, yeah, I'm very impressed with the Chargers for sure. I think the boys are rolling and don't like they're going to stop anytime soon.
Go ahead, Graham.
No, I mean, I was going to say, I feel like all of us, as at least amateur ball knowers at this point, hopefully some point in time we'll be truly ingratiated ball knowers by, kicking out all this knowledge on the
Great
fans.
word.
But what I will say is Harbaugh has always been a guy who's been about balance. That's one thing we can always say about all of his teams, regardless on what level of football, that team will be playing on. He's big on being balanced on both sides of the ball and asserting his team's will on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And that's translated right into this Chargers team. What I will say that's interesting to me about this team, because I know we all going to hit on a bunch of points that are probably going to be related to one another because this team's playing winning football. And winning football has a lot of the, same consistencies to it. There's two players that stick out to me that really bleed into this team's identity in my eyes. And one of those being Quentin Johnston. I mean, man, hats off to the Chargers for actually just letting the guy develop. In this microwave age of you draft a guy and he's got to be a damn Pro Bowler by year 2, where you're making McDonald's uniform memes out of him and whatnot. This dude actually played where that was justified. It was bad, but they let him stick around. They let him play through another camp and justify his, draft pick and solidify himself in this lineup. And he's repaying this organization through his play. I mean, it hasn't just been 1 or 2 glimpses this season. It's been 5 or 6 big plays from Mr. Johnston on this Chargers team that have stuck out to me. And the second guy is Mr. Dobbins. Man, a hell of an injury to bounce back from. And not only that, there go my biggest op right back there, man. Just a little bit of insight on the show, bro. He not a big fan of me over at the Streetman household, but we working on that. But what was I saying? Yeah, J.K. Dobbins, bro. Wasn't it an ACL last year, or was it his Achilles?
I feel like it was an ACL.
Yeah, I think it was his ACL.
Let me look it up.
But again, man, the team trusted in him, allowed him to, come in and prove, hey, I can still be an RB1 in this league. And he's repaid him with his play. When you do things like that, sometimes players play beyond, what they are on paper. And I think that's going to really help them out come postseason time.
Logan, you were right. It was his Achilles. So, Trip, go ahead. What you got to say about the Chargers?
Yeah, this was a game I didn't really get to catch a whole lot of, but I was flipping back and forth. This was one of the better games of the weekend, in my opinion, as far as, quality of back and forth, or as a shootout, I would say, to Logan, even though it was 23-20 as a final score. But yeah, a couple big takeaways as far as this team goes. I mean, I think anybody that is suiting up for Jim Harbaugh is going to be successful. Like Graham said, he's all about balance. And I think one of the key points that this team was missing before, bringing in Jim was that line of scrimmage. And if we know anything about Jim, he's going to have a line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. So I'm glad to see Justin Herbert getting the protection he deserves. Top of that, I'm loving seeing Quentin get some confidence back, because after last year, it looked like he was seeing ghosts. And I think a lot of that was getting to his head. And like Graham said, there's high expectations when you come in this league. But at the end of the day, the guy's young. He's going to get better as time goes. Herbert's leading the league in passing yards right now. And I think he's averaging like 287 yards a game right now, which is nuts. I did pick the Chiefs to win this division. If I knew that the Chargers were going to be like this, I would have picked the Chargers all day long. But still a very scary division. I remember saying in our first episode that we were going to look back at this division and say that, a lot of things have changed, and this is going to end up being one of those powerhouse divisions, and it's starting to show all across the board. But I'm big on Herbert, always have been. I hate when people put him in the conversation with Trevor Lawrence, just because the what ifs and the scenarios of they're the best quarterback, like Joey was saying, in the what if scenarios. But I think Justin Herbert's miles ahead of quarterbacks like that, especially from just a touchdown to interception ratio perspective. So I don't know what has gotten into him since him and Madison Beer got together, but they don't need to end that anytime soon. So shout out Herbie. I'm a big fan of him, but hopefully he continues his success, and so does Jim.
Dude, is popping out with Shorty with a leg sleeve? Could that be the move now? That's in that picture. He's out in public with a leg sleeve. I was impressed by it. Could be the move.
Hey,
never stop balling, bro.
Tripp's starting to sound a little like Chris Collinsworth bringing up the girlfriend situations. I'm just saying.
Wow. Now here's a guy. But who knows? Herbert at this rate could be an MVP dark horse, because it's really been that three-headed monster of Burrow, Mahomes, and Allen. That's kind of what it's turned into. But we'll see.
Lamar?
I thought I said Lamar to start off.
Said Burrow.
Said Burrow.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said
Burrow, Allen, and Mahomes.
I did not mean to say Mahomes. My bad. I meant Burrow.
I mean, all four of them are valid.
Lamar and Allen. But those look like the three, right? But so we're gonna get into a little opposite. The team who has not been hitting on all cylinders is the Houston Texans. They are 0-3. The worst offense in the NFL. They have the fourth least amount of yards per game. They are dead last in scoring, under 13 points a game. So they don't even average 2 touchdowns a game. And do you guys remember last year when CJ Stroud runs it? CJ Stroud had a wonderful rookie year, hit that sophomore slump, but he runs into Caleb Williams in the middle of the field. He's like, "Hey, you're gonna be one of the best." Blah 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 blah. And Caleb Williams looks beside himself. Well, since that point, CJ Stroud has thrown for 3,832 yards, 19 touchdowns, 15 picks. Caleb Williams, I'm just going to round it because it's 11 yards away, 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 5 picks. So it's funny to see that. But, yeah, these guys have, just taken every plummet possible. The defense is still really competitive, if you watch them, but they're on the field too much. This offense can't move anything. They couldn't move something that's easy to move. But yeah, they look pathetic offensively, for lack of a better term. And I think a lot of us, I don't know necessarily the Jags are going to win the South. I'm not going that route. It's looking like the Colts might. But it's looking like the Texans are rolling to be the first team eliminated. It's very bleak there despite the talent that they have. They've always had offensive line problems. they just picked up Nick Chubb while Joe Mixon's hurt. Maybe not while, but in addition to Joe Mixon while he's out. So yeah, I'm really surprised to see them take such a big step back.
Graham, you look like you wanted to fire this one off. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Now, what the one thing I was gonna say about the Texans is this, man. They're definitely a team that I feel like since last season they play down to the competition of the team that they're playing against every week. They're really stinking it up right now. I didn't want to expand too much or get them like 5 minutes of my own time. I almost feel like they're playing so poorly right now. Just let Joey, take that dead body out. They really stinking it up right now. But yeah, the one thing that sticks out to me. They play good against teams that are good, and they play poorly against teams that are bad. This Jaguars team was there for the taking, and they that gimme game. So yeah, they're worrying me right now. That coaching staff, especially.
Yeah, I'll say talking about the Nick Chubb pickup, I don't think Nick Chubb has looked bad to start the year. He's obviously coming off a pretty big injury, so missed a lot of time. I think I see a world. I mean, Texans have looked terrible. I think me and Trip were the ones that picked the Texans, I want to say. Maybe Graham as well. I don't remember if Graham did. I know you didn't, Joey. You picked the Jags. I think there's still a world just because how bad this division is. Granted, the Colts do look great so far, but we'll see how long that lasts. I think there's a world where they could get back into it because it's still as early as it is. Because you still got to keep in mind they got Joe Mixon coming back. I think Joe Mixon, as Nick Chubb gets more healthy, that could be a good 1-2 punch. CJ Stroud does look abysmal, but I don't see that lasting. I mean, looking at CJ Stroud's 3 games, he's thrown for 188, 207, and 204. Not great games. But in those games, they've lost by 1 possession in every single game. They lost 14-9, 20-19, and then 17-10. So it's like, as bad as they're playing, they're still in these ball games late. So I'm not going to completely write off the Texans. I'm not as far as saying, like you are, Joey, as saying like they're going to be the first team eliminated in this division. I'm not that far sold on them yet as far as like writing them off. I think there's still a world where they could turn it around and, maybe get back in the playoff picture, but there's definitely some question marks there. They got to do something, but as bad as they've been in 3 close games. So, you played the Rams and Tampa Bay, 2 solid teams. Jags, I don't really know how to feel about them, but I'm not completely going to write them off yet. I think there's still a world they could get back in the picture at the very least, especially with
I definitely
Joe Mixon
don't think they're
coming
out of it, but God, this offense just has no continuity around it. I mean, they're basically bottom 6 or 7 in every category, and it's going to be hard to compete in this league if you do that. Which, like you said, very well could be turned around, but I don't see any signs of that. And that offensive line has had problems for years, and they haven't really addressed much of that. So,
and just to say too, the Texans are 4th worst in the league in total yards. They only have, let's see, it was only 802 yards. The only teams below them are the Steelers, Titans, and Bengals. So, talking about the Titans, who's a very young team, rookie quarterback. Talking about the Bengals, who haven't had Burrow, and then Steelers somehow are winning games while being a bottom 3 total offensive yards team. Don't really know what's going on there. But, yeah, I mean, bottom 4. It's not looking great.
Yeah, I mean, you guys said every point that I was going to make. I mean, especially the one that Logan just mentioned. They're losing these games by 1 possession. I think that they have a really good chance to bounce back this week. They got the Titans, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, which that's got to be a get back game no matter what for them. I did pick them to win the division because I thought maybe last year was a sophomore slump for CJ Stroud and he was going to turn things around. But like Joey said, this offensive line is horrible. They just can't get the ball rolling whatsoever. Their defense, I think, is going to continue to keep them in games. I think Will Anderson is an absolute dog on that defensive side of the ball. He played well this last week as well. And I like Nico. I mean, I think that he's got a good thing going there. I just think that they got a lot of things to figure out on the offensive side of the ball that they just can't execute right now. So I do think that they're gonna, turn things around. I don't think that they're gonna, like Logan said, that I don't think they'll be the first team eliminated by any means. There's a lot of time left, but if they're gonna figure it out, they need to figure it out quick, and they better take advantage of their opponent this week if they're gonna do that.
For sure. And just to go off what you said, Trip, about their terrible offensive line, they traded Laramie Tunsil in the offseason. Like, perennial top 5 guy at left tackle. He's every time he gets paid, he becomes the highest paid left tackle. Once again, I'm being a homer, Ole Miss guy. But how do you get rid of one of the best left tackles in football, and then the following season your O-line's looking like a big question mark? So I just always find that interesting when guys just salary dump guys just to save some money, but then it backfires and it's like, hey, but sometimes it's better to pay these guys.
Yep. Tale old as time.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see how that season goes. So before we get into, we're going to bring in a new little segment, if you will, before we get to our pick'em. I'm not sure if you guys have been doing reading up, but first let me say this. What's it called? If any of these do not hit, I am not taking responsibility for it. Yeah, I am leaving out my clause right now. If none of these happen, you cannot blame me. But we're gonna start putting in a prize picks or underdog, whatever you use line. Sorry, Graham had to leave a little early, but um, us three we're gonna pick a line real quick and see how it goes. So me, I'm gonna tell you my line for the week. Something that I'm really liking here. I like the Kyler Murray over under 28.5 rushing yards. I'm taking the over on that. I know that's kind of a scary one to touch, but he has every game he's had over 30 yards. He's had over 30 yards rushing, and I was looking at it. Let me take a look at this because in where'd this thing go? Seattle is in the bottom 10 in sacks this year, so I don't think you'll see a ton of negative yardage from Kyler Murray. So I'm taking Kyler Murray over 28.5 rushing yards.
You got one already, Logan? You want me to go?
I would say I can go if you want, or you can go. It doesn't matter.
Go for it.
I think I'm going to lock in anytime touchdown score, James Cook. James Cook's a dog. I'm going to go kind of easy here. I mean, James Cook has been a touchdown machine for 2 years straight now. It hasn't stopped. I mean, this man makes big play after big play, gets in the end zone. I mean, I'm looking at him right here. They have it on. I'm not sure if you're using PrizePicks or underdogs here, Joey, but I'm looking on underdogs. It's showing he's got a point 0.5 for rushing or receiving. I'm smashing that. There's also a Saquon out there. Kind of want to smash that as well. So I think either one of those are pretty safe picks. Honestly, Joey, what I'm going to do is throw whatever Trip says as well. I'll throw that on the underdogs throw. I'm not going to throw nothing crazy on it, but I'll throw it on there, ride with it, and see what happens. And I'm honestly tempted to take James Cook and Saquon, and I'll just pretend Saquon is in honor of Graham's absence right now.
I did take Saquon last week and for anytime touchdown, and he did not score.
So he's due. That's what I'm hearing.
All right, fair enough. That's how you want to look at it.
Go ahead, Trip.
Yeah, so for mine for this week, this is a pick that I've made 3 weeks in a row and has been green, and that's going to be Daniel Jones over 209.5 passing yards. Ride the train while it's hot, man. I mean, they got to go to LA this week and on the road. I think that's a game where he's clearly going to be passing the ball a lot. I think this could be an actual shootout, Logan. We'll see. But over the last 3 weeks, he's thrown for 272, 316, and 228. And those are going backwards, but that's the way I read that. Actually, no, that's as the season went on. So, he's thrown the ball 29, 34, and 25 times and still covering. I think that, like I said, I've picked that every week so far, and I'm going to keep riding that train if they're going to keep it that low for as long as I can.
I never take unders. Never take unders. And I thought the safest under I could have ever taken was week 1, Daniel Jones under at like 205. I was like, oh, slam dunk. Yeah, he's got like 180 at halftime. I was like, all right, you know what? Maybe this just isn't for me. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and throw that one on too.
Hey, you saying Daniel Jackson? I mean, honestly, it's been a mix of Danny Dimes and Lamar Jackson. He's looking like this year, so I get it. Daniel Jackson, let's roll with it.
You know what? Maybe that's fair.
I also want to point out he obviously, as of right now, has the coolest nickname of any quarterback in the league. Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
that is fire. I don't care. But man, yeah, he's looking good. So I'm gonna keep riding that train until he proves me otherwise. And watch, I'm gonna put money on him, and he's not gonna do it. Just like I put money on Josh Jacobs anytime touchdown last week. And after having 8 games in a row scoring a touchdown, he finally decides not to. And I put currency on him. Neither did Bijan. I had him and Bijan both to score a touchdown, and they both forgot how to play football.
So I'll say this real quick. Once again, I'm using underdogs. So Kyler Murray over 28.5 rushing. I got a James Cook touchdown, Saquon touchdown, Daniel Jones higher. You're looking at a 7.09 times. So you bet 10, you get $70.90 if it hits, obviously. So I'm gonna smash that just for the boys. Let it roll, see what happens. But in the future, Joey, maybe we just set up the fans union underdogs account or something, some way, try to work that so that we can have our own little the fans union code.
Yeah,
because then
that's the goal eventually.
If people join off our code, I think it's like a $25 like free bet thing you can use. So
that's true. Yeah.
Oh, that's really good point. And I want to make this clear: we are not sponsored. We are not.
Hey, but underdogs love to sponsor people, and I will gladly put the neon sign up behind me.
Gladly, 100%. No problem.
If they want to throw some free play at me and sponsor us, I will be more than happy.
Hey, we'll have an underdog segment every week, college and NFL. I don't care.
Yep, no problem.
Underdog. Hey, underdog. Just so you know, I'm a degenerate. I bet on the WNBA. So if you want somebody who's gonna put some action on the table, hit my line.
Yeah, you got the right one.
Maybe we go submit it. Let's go find a link. Let's all submit one after this pod.
What if they send you a blackjack table, Trip? How would you feel about them?
My God. I'll quit my full-time job just to play blackjack full-time.
Sounds good to me.
I'm just gonna say, it's hard to see, but the pick is in, boys. The pick is it is not.
Yeah, I got mine. Let me pull mine.
Pick is in. Just trust me, because it's not showing well.
Yeah, got mine right here too.
There we go.
And we'll post them on our Instagram post for you guys to see. And again, I want to clarify: if these do not hit, do not blame us. You're responsible for your own picks. But we're going to incorporate it a little bit to see how it goes. Hopefully we win us some money. But we're going to end this. We'll go ahead and we're picking a few games. First, we're going to do Falcons versus Commanders. So let me just get it out of the way. I feel like I've said it, but I just want to be clear. We're going to pick our teams no matter who they play every week. So the Lions, Jets, and Falcons, we're going to have a pick them for every week because we don't hide the fandom on this show. I am going to take
fans union.
Yes, exactly. For the fans, by the fans. We are who it's by. It's for y'all. But so I'm gonna roll Falcons here, and if they don't, I'm going to lose my mind because no Daniel Jones. And again, at this point, I don't think what's his name is playing. So what?
You said no Daniel Jones.
Golly,
Indiana Jones is taking over football.
I guess so. My God. I'm stuck over on that under I took. No Jaden Daniels, no Terry McLaurin. If we can't win this game, I'm gonna use that bye week to really reconsider some things. Not really reconsider, but it's gonna be a tough week. I'll say that. So I'm taking the Falcons. I took them against the Vikings. It worked. So maybe I'm the good luck charm. We'll see.
I'll follow up with you here. Yeah, I'm going Falcons solely because the pieces that are missing on that Washington offense, that's literally the only reason why. I think if they are healthy with McLaurin and Daniels, we're in trouble. But, I'm having like a That's So Raven moment where they get a key pick to end the game and Dan Quinn's just celebrating in Atlanta. I just feel like that might could happen.
It makes too much sense.
Yeah, it's too much of a Falcons thing, But yeah, I definitely think if the Falcons don't win this game, there's gonna be a lot of head scratching. As you guys know, the Falcons don't control my mood necessarily, but I was never really a fan of the Raheem Morris hire, especially whenever the rumor was it was between him and Belichick. It's just kind of like you got one guy who could be the winningest head coach in NFL history, and the other guy who doesn't have a winning record as a coach, and that's pretty much where I lie with that. But hey. Maybe Raheem turns it around and Raheem becomes a dream. Who knows? But
nice.
Falcons solely because of injuries on the Commanders' offense here.
Boys, I don't know.
What happened? What
I
happened?
don't like this.
Man, I mean, my gut tells me to go Commanders here, but I also did pick the Falcons to win their division, so I feel like I have to pick the Falcons here. If this was in Washington, I'm probably going Commanders, but the fact that it's at home, I'm going to give the Falcons a little bit more of an advantage here. I know Washington's favored in this game, but that's because they had a pretty solid week this past week, and how the Falcons looked this past week in comparison. I'm looking at those ticket prices, and we might be going to this Falcons game from what I'm looking at. Anywho, I'm hoping, for the Falcons' sake, that they really took to heart the criticism that they're getting all over the world right now, and hopefully make a change for that. They clearly have the weapons to make it happen. It's just a matter of which Falcons team is actually going to show up on Sunday. But I think that this is where they got to take advantage of Jaden Daniels not being there. This is a win that you could throw in that column and move forward with it. But I don't know. This one could go either way, boys.
Yeah, I saw Zach Robinson say that he doesn't think there's anything wrong with the offense, and he doesn't believe how everybody thinks it's super predictable, despite what the numbers say about what they do when they're in certain formations. But hey, he knows more than I do. So,
Hey, Angel Hernandez also didn't think he was a bad umpire.
you know what? This is a fair point. Yeah, that's that's very fair. Okay, next we've got Eagles versus Bucks. Very interesting matchup. Two teams, 3-0. Probably, unfortunately, for one of them being the Bucks, going to win their division. I am going to roll. This is a tough one. I'm rolling the Eagles. It's going to be in Tampa, which I don't think Tampa. Most NFL places don't have too crazy of a home field advantage. Right now, the Eagles are favored at 3.5. And I just think, again, they know how to win. Obviously, they're not going to win every game, but I think this is going to be a team that loses between 2 to 4 games a year max. And the role that they're on, they've shown, hey, we know how to win. Again, Baker's playing out of his mind right now too. So I think we could definitely have I think we're going to definitely have a close one here. But give me Eagles. Go 4-0.
Yeah, I'm also going to ride Eagles here. That Tampa Bay offensive line is pretty banged up right now. And I think, I'm not taking anything away from the Bucks at all, but who they've played, they've kind of skated past with that. I don't think that's going to be the case with this Philadelphia defensive line. I think that Philly, learns a lot of lessons from how they played in that first half this past weekend, makes a lot of adjustments. That's what separates good teams from great teams. And I think they're going to prove that. If Tampa Bay was healthy, especially on that offensive line, probably be saying otherwise. They'd be the team to knock them off that high horse, but it's hard to bet against the Eagles, man. I think they got this in the bag.
Also, Mike Evans is not playing.
Oh yeah, then 1,000% give me the Eagles.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought I'd touch on. I didn't see that he's ruled completely out yet. What I'm seeing is doubtful. But if you don't have Mike Evans and you don't have Chris Godwin, and you're playing a team as good as the Eagles, sorry, Baker. I believe in Baker. I think Baker's got the moxie back like he did in college right now. I think he's rolling. He's looking great in Tampa. But the Eagles are the Eagles, man. And you're missing Tristan Wirfs. He's still questionable going into this week. You got Baker. They have Baker listed as questionable, which Baker's playing, I think. But he's got a bicep injury, I guess he's messing with. And then you got Mike Evans out. So, yeah, I'm definitely rolling Eagles here because there's seems to be a lot of nagging injuries on the Buccaneers. But I just don't know if I believe in Sterling Shepard and Emeka to step up being wide receivers 1 and 2 this week against a great Eagles defense.
Yeah, so I think we're all rolling that way. I also want to confirm, earlier in the show I said Washington beat the Packers. I 100% meant Cleveland. My bad. That is 100% on me. I know somebody's probably going to rip me when they see that.
I tried to correct you and say Browns. You just didn't hear me.
My fault. That's on me. Okay, so speaking of clean sweeps, go ahead.
Trip, you picked Falcons, right?
Yes.
Okay, we're good. Go ahead. Just making sure I got this down right.
I think we got another clean sweep right here. Cleveland at Detroit. I don't feel the need to elaborate on this one. Give me the Lions.
Lions.
9.5-point favorite in the NFL is crazy.
Yeah.
That is a crazy spread for any NFL game. I don't care who's playing. I'm not going to go too deep into it. The Ravens blew the doors off on Cleveland 2 weeks ago. I think it's going to be the same result. I just hope we don't play down to them like the Packers did this past week. But I think that the Lions are hot right now. They're going to keep that train going. So, yeah, give me Lions.
Would you like to know what the biggest I'm sorry, Logan, did you say Lions yet?
That's all I said.
Okay.
Lions.
I thought so. Just want to be sure. Would you like to guess what the biggest spread in the league is this year? You guys are looking at it, so maybe you see, but Buffalo 15.5-point favorite over New Orleans.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's
That's
crazy.
brutal. All right, so 2 more games. We got next one is going to be Ravens versus Chiefs, which has been one of the more marquee matchups in the past few years. I think the Chiefs are going to notch their second win right here. I know they don't look super good, but I think if you want to get back on track, I never thought I would say this, that Baltimore defense may be the way to do it. And the Chiefs defense still looks good. Like, I mean, they are still firing all cylinders. Spagnuolo is still the man. Chris Jones still there doing his thing. I'm gonna roll with the Chiefs, pick up their second win.
I'm going to roll with the Ravens. And just a quick note on Chris Jones. He's a dog, but my man needs to focus on winning and not holding a quarterback under 100 yards. I'm just saying that was a crazy little clip. I don't know if y'all seen that a couple weeks back, but he's chirping at Jalen Hurts, talking about he's under 100 yards, and Jalen Hurts is just like, yeah, we won though. So what are we talking about? So Chris Jones, focus on winning. I get it. Stats are nice to look at on the defensive side, but focus on winning. I think Ravens in this one. I mean, dude, give me Derrick Henry for 100 plus. Honestly, I think Derrick Henry, after having 2 costly turnovers, is just coming back with a vengeance. Both these teams are 1-2, so going 1-3 for either one of these teams could put them in a quick early hole. So I think this game could kind of be pivotal for either team to kind of turn it around.
And I think the toughest hole is going to be crawl out of will be the AFC West, and I think the Chiefs know that. Not that they're just going to win for that reason, but probably a little extra juice behind that one. Trip.
Yeah, I mean, if you would have told me that both these teams are 1-2 coming into this matchup before the season started, I would have told you were on drugs. But I think only one of these teams could come out victorious, unfortunately, and I think that's going to be Baltimore. I think that with the way Kansas City has played, obviously Baltimore's had a lot of question marks on the defensive side of the ball, but they have not shown one time where they looked light on the offensive side of the ball. Even when they're getting sacked 7 times by Detroit, they were still moving the ball very well for 90% of the game until the very end. So I think that's going to be a continuous trend. And with the way Kansas City's offense has looked, I think Baltimore, this is a game for them to get that defense figured out. So I'm going to take Ravens here.
That's true. Yeah, if there's a team you want to get back, it's that offense that played against the Giants last week, no doubt. So final game. We got the Jets versus Dolphins, one of the 2 Monday night games. The Denver Bengals one seemed like a really marquee matchup until obviously Burrow got hurt. But we're going Jets and Dolphins. 2 teams that are 0-3, but one of those teams is an absolute dumpster fire at this point. It is the Miami Dolphins. Jets are going to pick up their first win, and Mike McDaniels is going to go ahead and start packing up his office.
Yeah, I'm going to take Jets in this one. They've lost a couple heartbreakers already, and we're only 3 games into the season. Hopefully, not only for Graham's sake, but for that team as a whole, this is the week they finally, come out and take care of business. I don't believe in Tua. I never have, and I never will. And that's not because I'm a Georgia fan and I hate Alabama. He's just one of those guys that I don't understand how he got extended as early as he did. I think he's full of talent, but they don't have it figured out in Miami. I don't think they are anytime soon. I don't know if I believe Mike McDaniels is packing his bags anytime soon, but I think that that's a very real possibility depending on how the rest of the season plays out. But yeah, give me Jets in this one.
So just to go off your Tua statement there, never been a believer in Tua either. Always thought Hurts should have been the guy over Tua. I think I said it in this podcast on week 1. Tua won a natty, so it panned out. With that being said, though, I think Tua's talented, but I don't know if he's full of talent. I think he was just full of talented teams, and that's what's helped get him to this point in his career, whether it be the wide receiver core of Bama or the stacked team the Dolphins had around him for a couple years there that has since fallen apart. But, I mean, honestly, I don't even know if Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor's playing, but to me it doesn't matter. Give me the Jets. Like we talked about earlier, Aaron Glenn seems to have a fire underneath those guys, and I think this is the win that they crack the code and get that first victory.
Justin Fields is listed as questionable, which in the NFL, that really could mean $1 million. Not really $1 million, obviously, but that's truly like we have no idea what's going to happen.
And then also, I say let's throw a fifth game or sixth game, whatever, however many games. Let's pick one more, Joey. Let's do Thursday Night Football tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. And that's really why I like doing these these Wednesday night episodes and releasing them on Thursday mornings. Is kind of like get you in the mood for football. That's kind of my thought process with that.
I like it.
But yeah, we got Seattle, Arizona. Seattle 1.5-point favorite. God, I just even though I'm riding on the bet and they had they're 2-1. They've only beaten the Panthers and the Saints, which the Falcons don't obviously hold that distinction. And lost in a close one last week to San Fran. I think they're about to get handed their second loss in a row. Seahawks, let me pull this up real quick. Seahawks, they're also 2-1. But from what I've seen, I've been a lot more impressed with their wins. They've beaten the Steelers. They were massacred the Saints last week. It was like 35-3 in the third quarter before they called the dogs off.
No, dude, it was 35-3 with 8 minutes left in the second quarter.
Yeah,
it was. I remember texting all that and be like, "What is going on?"
I watched that game from beginning to end.
I did not. When I went to watch, it was 35-3 with like 7:50 left in the second quarter, and I was like, "What just happened? Like, what did I miss?"
If there's something I'm going to root for, it's a Saints loss.
100%.
But that's not the case here. I do think Seattle's the better team here, and I think they're going to walk away with a win. As long as Kyler Murray gets 30 rushing yards, I'll be happy.
Hey, as long as he gets 29.
That's true. Yeah, still a rounding there.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. I got Seahawks in this one as well. I think Sam Darnold has proven to everybody that he's earning the contract that he received. He's looked damn good. He looked great last week. He had me a little bit worried going into that third quarter because I took his over on passing yards. They kept looking like they were going to pull him, but he finally hit right before they pulled him out. But yeah, I think Seattle takes care of business. They beat already one quality opponent. I don't think Arizona stands really much of a chance in this one, but I'm going to take Seattle.
Yep, we're round table here. I'm going Seattle as well. Sam Darnold's looked good so far. I mean, it's a small sample size in Seattle. I thought Sam Darnold might have just played I don't want to say victim. I guess it'd be the luxury of playing under Kevin O'Connell, the quarterback whisperer, as I always say. I think he's a great quarterbacks coach. Thought he was just benefiting from that. But, I mean, so far so good in Seattle. He does have some weapons. He's got Jigba. He's got Cooper Kupp went over there. You got Kenneth Walker. You got Charbonnet, or however you say that guy's name. They got some decent little weapons over there. So I think Seattle in this one as well. I know I kind of threw everybody off adding this one last minute, but with it being Thursday Night Football, I felt like it was only fair.
We gotta start disagreeing more.
The only disagreement is the Chiefs and Ravens game.
One last thing I do want to add. Monday night, Micah Parsons is going to sack Dak Prescott probably 17 times.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a big deal. I mean, I think no matter what players say, oh, it's just another game. It's not just another game. No, it's not. Micah Parsons is going there and headhunting.
So honestly, Dak Prescott throw the ball 70 times, or
yeah,
if you're watching Cowboys, yeah.
Honestly,
when I was making the list, the Cowboys are so abysmal, but I honestly just could kind of chalk them up as a loss in that one. But I mean, this is a team that lost to the Packers lost to the Browns last week. After dominating the Lions, so like the NFL, anybody can beat anybody, no matter what. Obviously, there are better teams, there are worse teams at the end of the day, but anybody can beat anybody in this league, and I think we're constantly reminded of that. Yeah, Michael. He's got a Jerry Jones dartboard in his house. Just
yeah. Honestly, dude, he might have like one of those like MMA or boxing training dummies with fucking Dak Prescott's head taped over the face of it, just spearing it over and over and over.
Yep.
Like, honest to God, it could be fun.
We'll see. Well, guys, I think that's it. We appreciate you guys hanging around. We'll have this out here in a little bit. We'll be back next week. Last week, like we were saying, Trip and I were on vacation, so we're here. But we're gonna keep this thing rolling here in a couple weeks. We're gonna have a live stream going on YouTube, so we'll post more about that and get a little get that ready. But fellas, I appreciate you being here. As always, if that ain't everything, we're out. Peace.